And all right out there, folks. Welcome along to another episode of Martin's World. And guys, it's Monday, start of a week. Excuse me. Hope you had a good weekend, guys. I would normally open with a little plug for, give a shout out there for the Patreon and the other place you can give donation for the bitcoins. But I'm not going to do that today. I want to give a little plug to another fundraiser I was made aware of there, thanks to Vera Toomey. And this is the fundraiser that's for Rick Simpson. So I don't know if you know of Rick Simpson. I've mentioned him once or twice before on the show. Quite an inspirational guy. Very much inspired me to start growing cannabis a good couple of years back. So a real legend of a man. And I was kind of heartbroken to find out this morning that he had suffered a stroke there just over 2 years ago now. And that's why we haven't seen or heard from him in a while. So I'm just going to throw you over here. You can see now it's a GoFundMe set up to support Rick Simpson and his family, just to cover his basic medical expenses. So he's, as I say, he suffered a stroke there over 2 years ago, and he's been in recovery ever since. So if you can at all, head over there, make a quick donation to the GoFundMe. Rick Simpson, he helped many people in his past. If you don't know his story, he basically grew a load of cannabis in Canada. He was using that cannabis then to make oil, and he was giving that oil out to people who suffered with mainly cancer was the condition he was helping people treat, with the oils that he was making himself. So he made a documentary. It's called Run from the Cure. If you haven't heard or seen that yet, check it out. It's a really good documentary. And as I say, it's the one that inspired me to start growing cannabis many years ago. And then, as I said, the person who brought that to me then, Vera Toomey, Vera shared a post there highlighting this there on her Facebook page. But she also makes today's 420 news because there was an effort over the weekend to tweet on Twitter with the hashtag Talk to Vera. And as you can see here on the screen now, that got to number 2 in Ireland over the weekend. And if you don't know, over the weekend, as you can see here, it's the Bloody Sunday. Remembrance Days. Jeez, I can't even put the word there to what that would be called. But the Bloody Sunday and like Croke Park there, like tweet coming up there in between two of those, that goes to show the importance that this means to the people who support Vera. You know, like that it competes with the Bloody Sunday and the Croke Park tweets on the very same day. A lot of support out there for Vera. So I hope Stephen Donnelly has picked up the phone and he has talked to Vera since that tweet storm went on there over the weekend. What she's looking to talk to him about is basically just to secure the continuation of the delivery of Ava's medicine to the front door. Vera said it herself, she would much rather go and collect it from her local pharmacy, but currently she can't do that. She has to leave Ireland to go to the Transvaal to collect it over there and then travel back home again. Quite a lengthy journey to make just to pick up a medicine. Absolutely ridiculous that they would even consider making these patients do this again when they do have to travel once this whole coronavirus thing passes, if it ever passes. So well done to Vera and everybody who took part in that Twitter tweeting campaign over the weekend that got Talk to Vera trending across Ireland. So well done everybody, and onwards we go then, guys, into the rest of today's 420 news. So there was comments made over the weekend there by the leader of the Hemp Party in Australia. So if you don't know, if you haven't heard of the Hemp Party before, it stands for Help End Marijuana Prohibition Party, and it's an Australian-based organisation, political party actually. And they basically make today's 420 news because there was comments passed that suggested that if Australia was to legalise cannabis, they could create over 100,000 jobs. There's a monumental amount of jobs, a lot of jobs there. I know I considered moving to Australia before, but maybe could consider it again if they legalized cannabis. But 100,000 jobs there. And the leader of the Hemp party then, he commented there, what is his name? Did I write down his name? No, I didn't write down his name. Apologies there to this guy. But the leader of the Hemp party, he estimates that Australia spends 1.1 billion Australian dollars every year combating cannabis, cannabis. And the Green Party in Australia then estimate that if Australia was to legalise cannabis, it could create upwards of $2 billion for the exchequer there. So absolutely ridiculous amount of money to be spent fighting cannabis and to be missed out on by not allowing cannabis to the adults. Basically, the adults are able to get it anyway. It's so stupid that we've this prohibition still remaining in place. Cannabis is easy to get. It's so easy to get. Okay, it's not that easy, but it's very easy. But yeah, it's so easy. Prohibition doesn't keep cannabis from adults. It keeps cannabis out of the hands of researchers, out of the hands of health professionals, and out of the hands of the regulators, and then all of that money then goes to the criminals and not to, things like in places where cannabis is legalized, where now in Colorado, let's say, where we'll be going to next, they've basically ring-fenced the money there to go to schools, hospitals, and roads. Pretty sure those are the three things that the cannabis taxes have been ring-fenced for. So well done to them there. And as I say, the next place we're going to go to then in today's 420 news is to the US. So the CDC, who we've probably heard quite a bit about actually over the last few months, given all this whole coronavirus nonsense and everything. So basically the CDC have published a report there recently, which flies in the face of the message of all these staunch prohibitionists out there who believe that if we were to legalize cannabis, that all of a sudden every kid out there is going to be addicted to cannabis and their future is going to be ruined. Absolutely ridiculous beliefs that some of these prohibitionists spout. But basically these guys, the CDC, the Centre for Disease Control, they released a report compiled by the author of the report. His name is Jeremy Menace. And they found that the states that legalised cannabis have seen a sharp decline in the youth treatment admissions. So this is youths who end up in hospital because of using cannabis. So they're after seeing a major decline in states where cannabis has been legalised. They've seen a rate drop of 50% between 2008 and 2017. That's when all of this data was compiled, and that's quite a big drop. The author of the study suggests that it could be due to a changing attitude with cannabis, that there's less people ending up in the treatment places for it, especially when you look at other studies there that have found as well that in states that legalize cannabis, that the rate of use among teens, it didn't increase at all. In fact, in some states it actually decreased. And again, what's suggested there is just because of this changing attitude, it's no longer this kind of a rebellious thing to do now to spark up a spliff. It's just something, it's something your mum and dad do. It's something your aunt does. It's not that cool of a thing anymore when it's not illegal. To young people, it certainly does have that allure that, oh, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to do it. It definitely, I definitely think that is why we see a drop there, or at least it doesn't change. And another study actually coming out of Colorado, it showed that since legalization happened in 2012, there hasn't been a massive change. There's no significant change in the rate of cannabis use in the population of Colorado. So it flies in the face of all of these prohibitionists who say, the sky is going to fall if we legalize cannabis. No, it's not. And America has proved that, at least in a number of states in America anyway, they've proved that the sky isn't going to fall if we legalize cannabis. They've shown the opposite, in fact. They showed that the states can actually generate taxes, that jobs can be created, that police can be focused on actual crimes that involve victims rather than out there dealing with drug users. So that's what's really come out of the states where cannabis is being legalized, and none of the beliefs of the prohibitionists have come true. There's not kids just lining up around the block to get into treatment centres. No, it's not happening. It's just, it's just normalised. It's just becoming this normal thing now that you do, no different than making a cup of coffee in the morning. If somebody uses cannabis, why is it any different to a person who uses coffee? I just don't understand it at all. But here we go. Very good argument there now to anybody who says into the future that cannabis use will go up amongst young people if we legalise it. No, it won't. And then if the young people do get cannabis in these states where it's legal, at least it's coming from a quality assured source rather than from some dude selling it out of his gaff, at the end of the block. Absolutely ridiculous that we would prefer prohibition over regulation. And yeah, that's everything there from the States and from from those studies. So we're going to hop on back then across the pond, and before we get back to Ireland, we're going to take one stop over into the UK. And in the UK, the police over there, they were called out to investigate. I think it was like a burglar, and your man was after being out robbing anyway or something, and he was taken on in a chase. So the drone was called out to try to intercept this guy. And what they actually found along the way turned out to be a cannabis factory. So imagine that, like the cops just happened to stumbling upon a cannabis factory while out investigating other crimes. As I say, like the cops, a lot of the times it's snitches, it's the rats that help them operate, but other times they just get plain bloody lucky. Absolutely ridiculous. And there's one thing about these drones, and the heat-seeking kind of stuff that they use. I don't know, like, is that not an invasion of your home, your privacy, that these guys can just fly up above and just send down these kind of heat-seeking radars or whatever? I don't know. I would be rather concerned if you were in the middle of a heated passion, with your partner. I wonder, couldn't that be picked up on the on that radar? I don't know. Maybe you don't get as hot as me out there. But it's quite invasive, really, that these guys are able to just fly their drones up over your houses, up over whatever, and just beam down into them to make sure you're not growing any cannabis. These drones aren't cheap either. I'd imagine it'd be much cheaper and more beneficial just to legalise cannabis and maybe fund the patients over there in the UK who need it and need it badly. The Project 2021 actually launched today or yesterday it was. I'm pretty sure it was today. It kind of went live, even though it's been going for the last while now already. But yeah, the Project 2021, if you don't know, it's kind of an initiative set up where they're subsidising the cost of the cannabis medicines for the patients, and they're forming a registry of the patients. There's something there that says that it's not a study, but they are going to be compiling a lot of data as to the effectiveness of the cannabis medicines. They should have results from the compiling of that data there by the end of 2022. It aims to be the biggest kind of compilation of data from cannabis patients in the UK anyway to date. So Project 2021. So keep an eye on that one. More will be coming on that in the future. Might even see if it'd be amazing if I could get David Nutt on here to have a conversation about it. So that might be something I'll try to do for you good folks in the coming days. But in other news then, guys, so we're going to hop on back to Ireland then, where we have no negative news, or no positive. I wish we had no negative news to report from in Ireland. It's nothing but negative news coming from Ireland when it comes to cannabis. Like, the only thing good that we can do with cannabis is just criminalise people for it here in Ireland. We get very, very little positive to report, and it breaks my heart really that a lot of the positive news comes from outside of Ireland. So the first of today's 420 news from Ireland brings us a little bit close to home, actually, where a mobile home in the back of a house in Glounthaune, it was used to hide €43,000 of cannabis belonged to a young man, and this young man has been sentenced to 3 years in jail. So Conor Cronin and it gives his address here, I won't read out his address, he pleaded guilty to having drugs for sale and supply at a time when its street value exceeded €13,000 on December 6, 2019. So just under a year ago. Judge Sean O'Donovan imposed a sentence of 6 years, with the last 3 years suspended at Cork Circuit Criminal Court. Now, keep in mind, guys, that the minimum minute, the minimum mandatory that he was supposed to get here was 10 years, because it exceeds €13,000. So I suppose in one sense he got off lightly, but in the other sense it's still bloody 3 years, 6 with 3 suspended. Absolutely ridiculous. That's over €300,000 that's going to cost the state, and a young man's future just in tatters now. Going to prison it's not good for your future. Any more than a 12-month stay, and you're going to get flagged on all your visa applications, and you're going to have to jump through queer hoops really just to prove that you're a good person. And all this guy done was had a bit of cannabis. Now, in fairness, that he has previous convictions. I don't know what they're for, but he has admitted low-level supplying of the drug cannabis since the age of 15. There were many messages on his phone showing he was actively involved in the sale and supply of the drugs, Detective Gardai Kennedy said. Donald O'Sullivan, his defence barrister, said the defendant had difficulties with his mental health. He had led somewhat of a chaotic lifestyle. Detective Gardai Kennedy agreed and said that he is only 24 years of age and he has 38 previous convictions. So 38 previous convictions, but still, he's only up here for cannabis. It's ridiculous. I don't think he deserves 3 years at all. I don't think anyone deserves any time for cannabis crimes, to be honest. So I'm very, very biased, and I've no shame in saying that. Judge Sean O'Donovan, my buddy, said this is a young man of 24 who admits to storing a combination of drugs, many kilos of cannabis at or near the premises where he was living. He cooperated and he signed his admissions. He told them what he was doing. He gave them the information about the level he was working at. He said it was a low level over a period of time. He then followed that up with a plea of guilty. There are many complications here, a very dysfunctional, complicated background. Obviously, given his dysfunctional past, he is a person who can be and was misused by others. He was fully involved in drug dealing. The judge imposed the total the 6 years with 3 suspended. So, absolutely ridiculous that the judge would impose such a sentence on a person, given his background and everything. He admits that obviously this is a person who's vulnerable, who's been taken advantage of by others. It's easy to lead a young fella astray. If he's been drug dealing from 15, he's probably, maybe if nothing bad happened over the time, he's been sourcing it from around the same source. So it's easy that oh yeah, this guy's reliable, he's showing he's coming back, and he just keeps getting more and more. It's just kind of sad to see that at 24 years of age, 3 years now he's going to have to spend in prison. Obviously, he's going to get out in probably a year, 9 months, probably. No nurse justice system here. It's a joke. They say the fact that he should have got 10 years because of the amount. But the mandatory only applies to your masks, apparently. It doesn't apply to people who break the laws. That's not mandatory at all, especially when it comes to the judges anyway and imposing these sentences. So in other news there, guys, Athy, we go to then. So a man who turned his life around and he becomes an anti-drugs ambassador in a local drug school. So this guy, he got caught with some cannabis in the past. What's his name? His name is Liam Webb. He's 31 years of age. And he told the local court it was very easy to get cannabis and ecstasy in Athy, and just, it's no secret, drugs are easy to bloody get. And he said that this was when he was just a child. So when he was just a child, from the ages of 10, he was able to get hash and cannabis and ecstasy and stuff. So it says here that he took his first joint of hash at the age of 10 or possibly 11, and first took his first ecstasy tablet when he was just 12 years of age. So there you go, guys. This is a prohibition at work. Well done, prohibition, and the prohibitionists out there who see it that young fellas, as young as 10 or 11, are able to get served hash by drug dealers who don't have to ask for an ID at the point of sale because it's not regulated. So your man Liam Webb obviously led a long life of drug use and stuff by the sounds of it. He's 31 now. He recently got caught with, what was it he got caught with? So Mr. Webb, it gives his address, was facing 2 simple possession charges after Gardaí found €50 worth of cannabis and €10 worth of cannabis at his previous address in Towns Park. So on the 8th of December 2017 and the 16th of March 2018. So that's a very, very long time ago, in fairness. Sergeant Brian Jacob told the court of a third more serious incident when more serious here, get this one, right? So when the Gardaí approached him, no shock and horror here, the guy fucking ran. Of course you're going to run. He had €160 worth of cannabis on him, and he threw it away when he was running away from the cops. Like, obviously, like if the cops are coming to you and you have an opportunity to run, get the fuck out of there. Why are you being so polite and just making their job easy and just standing around for them? Absolutely ridiculous. Of course he's going to run. It's not a serious incident, just running from the cops. Like, the guy was in fear of his life because the cops wanted to ruin his life. The drugs didn't want to ruin his life. The drugs made him, I don't know what the drugs did for this guy. He started it from a very, very young age. That's scary. Like, kids shouldn't be getting drugs at that young of an age, but they can under prohibition. So he ran from Mayo. He threw away €160 worth of cannabis, and the state were withdrawing the more serious Section 15. Also, maybe that's what they're referring to there as being more serious, because they wanted to do the guy for dealing because he had €160 worth of cannabis. €160 worth of cannabis, guys, is 8 grams of cannabis. 8. That's all, 8 grams. That's just 1 gram more than a quarter. That is ridiculous that they were going to try to do a man for dealing for that. And then tried to be like, oh, we're going to be nice, John. We're not going to do you for dealing. That surely would never have held up in court anyway if they did try to do him for it. €160 worth, 8 grams. Scumbag cops. The judge said he was very fortunate. Mr. Jackie McManus, defending, pointed out that our client had not come into the Garda's attention since 2018, despite actually in 2019 he had been running away from him. So yeah, like, your man anyway, to get to the bottom of the story, basically the judge kind of gave a bit of a lenient sentence towards him because he agreed to sign up to a program where he was going to give some of his time to go in and talk to kids in school as to the harms caused by drugs. He believes that he started on cigarettes, he went to hash, and then he went to ecstasy. So yeah, at least he's not saying that the cannabis led him to the ecstasy. He started with cigarettes. Cigarettes led to the cannabis. And he's 31, so when he was 10, yeah, you probably could have walked into a shop and bought fags. There was no real age limit applied there. When I was 10, I was definitely still buying fags for my mum at the shop. At least I think I was anyway. So yeah, like, imagine this guy coming in there now to the local schools, and he's trying to peddle his message there. I wonder, will he be playing videos like I played there last Friday where he's frying an egg? Like, kids, this is your brain on drugs. Any questions? And the kids just there like, what is this guy on about? Half the kids probably seen Cheech and Chong because Cheech and Chong are on TikTok now, like, so it's getting out there, guys. Kids know, like, you're not going to fool them with these silly messages and sending in a silly guy like this who started using drugs from the age of 10. Okay, fair enough. Like, yeah, you're not supposed to use drugs at 10. Is that the message you want to say? But I just don't know. So other news, guys, we had some fun going down up in Mayo there over the weekend. So armed Gardaí and multiple units stormed string of houses in Mayo town as part of drugs operation, and all they found was a bunch of cannabis. That was it. Like, I was expecting when I read into this that there was going to be millions found, because just multiple units stormed string of houses. I just thought it was something big, and what they found was cannabis with an estimated value of €21,000 and €500 worth of coke. Some dude's personal stash of cocaine, along with his big bag of cannabis that he most likely was going to be selling. A man in his 40s has been arrested in connection with the searches, and he's been held at Ballina Garda station. A Garda spokesperson said a divisional drugs task force accompanied by local Ballina Garda, the Armed Support Unit, the Garda Dog Unit, carried out a number of searches at residents and derelict premises in the Ballina area of County Mayo on the 20th of November, so that was 3 days ago. Gardaí seized suspected cannabis worth €21,000 and coke worth €500, and another 44-year-old man was also arrested in connection with these searches and taken to Ballina Guard Station. So how much money was actually wasted in this? I wonder, did this operation actually amount to costing the state more than €21,500 worth of drugs? Like, how many cops were involved? So they had 3 units, including the Garda Dog Unit, which isn't cheap either, by the way. You know, you have to pay for the Garda dog handler and all of that there. And they have his own vehicle to come out. Then you have the armed support unit, so those guys aren't cheap either. And then you have the local Gardaí as well, you know, the local Gardaí who should have been focused on local crime like burglaries and stuff like that. Instead, they're wasting their time assisting the armed GIMP units, you know, the armed support units there, and the Garda drug dog unit, you know, the animal abusers. It's just ridiculous that so much time, money is still being wasted every bloody year. And meanwhile, the main reason given to why cannabis, the medicinal cannabis access program, isn't active in Ireland is money. Money, but they've no shortage of money when it comes to a drug war. Sure, keep writing the blank checks there, lads. It's you're doing a good job there with your €21,000 on a massive operation with a number of houses being searched. Well done, lads. Great use of our taxpayers' money and. You know, putting the lives of Gardaí at risk. You know, what if one of these houses contained some lunatic with a gun just hell-bent on protecting his €500 worth of cocaine? Do you know, he's about 2 or 3 lines in, and next, boom, 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 in comes the door. Like, your man just reaches for his gun and thinks he's fucking Tony Montana, Scarface, like, say hello to my little friend, you know, or something, you know. And it's like, these Gardaí, I have nothing against them. I don't take any personal really against the Gardaí as such. The organisation as a whole, I don't really like it because of the way in which they're used. But the individual members, you know, these are people. These are like sons and daughters of some mum and dad. Could possibly be the mum and dad of some sons and daughters. You know, like no matter what way you look at it, these people are people at the end of the day. They have family, they have lives outside of this. And I hate seeing their lives being needlessly put at risk. Every time they carry out one of these raids, every time they do a stop and a search at the side of the road, they don't know if they're going to be searching like just by happen of chance, you know, like the Birmingham cops there, and they happen to come across a factory load of cannabis there. Like, what is it if a cop just happens to come across like some big player who's transporting a big load and he has a gun beside him, and the cop doesn't know that he's coming up on this? And he's just like, oh, I smell cannabis out of your car, we're going to search it. And it's pop, cop's dead. Like, that's that. Is this worth it? Is this really worth it? The killing of cops for what? The enforcing, the supporting of this drug war. Drug war is lost. The drugs have won. It's time to end it. Like, the resistance, it's ridiculous that anybody is supporting the people who resist this. The prohibitionists, you know, the Mary Cannons out there spouting their nonsense about how kids are going to be completely messed up if we legalize cannabis. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Year after year, we're wasting millions. We're wasting so much time that could be spent researching cannabis and the benefits that come from it. But no, instead we waste money and human hours, man hours, fighting this failed war on drugs. A war on drugs, which the drugs have won. So, in other news, a woman is charged after Gardaí sees drugs in raid. So this is coming at you from County Cavan. So in what Gardaí said was an intelligence-led operation, another way of saying a waste of taxpayers' money, into the sale and supply of drugs in the King's Court area, officers searched a residence on Friday and seized €14,000 worth of suspected cocaine, pending analysis, as well as a small quantity of suspected cannabis and crack cocaine. Drug paraphernalia and €980 in cash were also seized by Gardaí. A woman in her late 20s was arrested a short time later by Gardaí and was detained at the Borough Garda station with a Section 2, so that's basically dealing. She has since been charged in relation to the investigation and is due to appear before Cavan District Court on Sunday. So that was yesterday. She was in court. So I'm not too sure what was the outcome of that court case. So she was in court there yesterday for this. What I wanted to just home in on here is the cannabis being found again with the cocaine and crack cocaine. Now, it's possible this woman was actually turning the cocaine into crack cocaine. It's a cheaper form. You stretch it, you know, and you can sell it cheaper. It's possible then that young people come in buying cannabis off her. Like she said, it says here she has only a small quantity of cannabis. If this person was a cannabis dealer and they were running out, next the young fella comes up and he's like, oh, you got a 50 bag there for me? No, but I have a crack rock. Do you want to try crack? You know, this is the reality of the situation for young people out there today if they're going and try and source drugs illegally from people like this. Do we want this? Why do we want it? Why do we support this? You know, Martin, like Frank Fionn, Stephen Donnelly, guys, come on. Like, you're in power, you're the politicians. Do something about this. This is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Other news, guys. There was a suspended sentence given for a basketball player who grew cannabis in Offaly. And this guy was a professional basketball player who received a suspended sentence for growing nearly €66,000 worth of cannabis. Nikolai Kujari, 28, so he's only 28, who has dual Romanian and Moldovan citizenship, had been in custody since May 11th. So of this year, last, when Gardaí searched a bungalow and a garage in a rural area at Beggarstown, Burr, and found a sophisticated grow house. So basically, your man, they had him in custody for the last couple of months, so since May, and he was up in court there on Friday, I believe. He was in court. No, he was in court today, actually, this is from. And the judge said that he should have given him a 10-year sentence, but on the condition that the accused leave Ireland within 28 days, he was suspending it. So he basically gave this man a suspended sentence for growing €66,000 worth of cannabis on condition that he leaves Ireland. I'm in court tomorrow for €10 worth of cannabis. What kind of special treatment can I get? Can I just go home? I promise I'll go home, Judge. But no, my home is in Ireland, so that's not good enough. Like, this is just right up discrimination against Irish citizens. Because I'm a citizen of Ireland, I'm not going to get the same opportunity as this man to go home to my family. Now, obviously, my crime is only for €10 worth of cannabis, but still, that is ridiculous. If I was to be growing cannabis, if I was to be caught with €20,000 worth of cannabis tomorrow, I would not be given the same opportunity. But because this man is not a citizen of Ireland, because he's got a passport there from Moldova and where else did he have? Romania. So he gets an opportunity to go home, see his family, and just be a normal citizen and just live his life rather than actually spend 10 years in prison, as the judge would have given him had he not been a foreigner, you know. Absolutely ridiculous. That's straight up discrimination. I don't like that. As an Irish citizen, I think that's straight up discrimination. Now, obviously, I don't want to see this man go to prison. I don't think he should go to prison, but I think it's ridiculous when I see this. This isn't the first time either I've reported on a case like this, where the cannabis grower is given an opportunity just to leave Ireland. Like, the judge is acknowledging basically that one, like, if somebody got murdered here, if this guy murdered somebody, the judge wouldn't let him travel home. He wouldn't. He'd make him do his time, most likely, for the murder that he committed here. So what this says to me is that this judge sees that this crime isn't actually even that serious, because he's actually willing to let the man just go home. Just go home and forget about us. Because one, what he knows, there's no victim. There's nobody who's going to come and say, why are you letting this guy go home? He's done wrong to me. There's nobody going to come and say this about this guy. So this is why he gets let go home. The judge can show discretion in this case and let this man travel home. In my case, he won't show discretion. It's €10 worth of cannabis. I was in court in September. That judge should have shown discretion then and saying €10 worth of cannabis. It's wasting my time and giving out to the Gardaí for even bringing me to court, that they should have just dealt with it at the side of the road or something. Why get me into this bloody criminal justice system for €10 worth of cannabis when there's a guy with €66,000 worth of cannabis and he was allowed just get in a plane and go home? That's ridiculous. Like, your man's delighted. He's happy with the sentence because, like, he could have got 10 years for it, and now he's getting the head on home. So a total of 55 cannabis plants found in the house, as well as a black bag containing over a kilo of cannabis, 1,091 grams to be precise, were found at his house. So 55 plants and a kilo of cannabis, and he gets to go home. So nice, like, do you know what I mean? And, like, days like this, you kind of hate being Irish. And yeah, but make you almost like semi-racist too. Like, I have no racist tendencies at all. Like, but that to me, that just screams discrimination, and it would make you want to kind of be like, they're mistreating our own people, they're locking up our own people for growing cannabis, but the foreigners can go home. So what happens? This guy goes home and he tells his buddy, boys, go over there to Ireland and just grow a load of cannabis. It's worth a fortune there. You grow a plant and you can make thousands off of a plant. Um, and if you get caught, boys, the best thing is they'll just send you home. Go for it, lads. It's grand. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of a message are we sending out there? And then to the native guys, the guys who actually have citizenships here or whatever, no, lads, you're going to go to prison. We're talking about killing the homegrown industry, like, and supporting the outsiders. Absolutely ridiculous. Ah. And in other news, guys, we're going to be going to County Meath next. So in County Meath over the weekend, there was €620,000 worth of cannabis seized. This was actually seized on Wednesday, and it would have been in Friday's 420 News, but I just done a special, and we went looking at some anti-cannabis commercials. So check that one out if you haven't already. It was a fun episode. Wasn't really reporting on news, just slating the prohibitionists and the silly message that they spout. They say that we're brain dead because we smoke cannabis, but geez, you watch these ads, like, and you have to wonder if they have any brain cells at all, the people who made them. But in Meath, €620,000 worth of cannabis was seized. So that's 31 kilos of cannabis. That's quite a bit of cannabis, to be fair. And this is all going to be destroyed as well, guys. We've patients out there now. Keep in mind, Kenny Tynan currently is not being reimbursed by the Irish government for his cannabis medicines, and he will not be renewing his cannabis license because of that. And here we have 31 kilos of cannabis now that's just going to be destroyed. No effort to analyse these to see if we could even recirculate it back to the patients. Maybe send it to, like, we're sending it to a lab anyway for analysis. Surely there's some way that this lab can come up with a way in which we can do an extraction from this herbal cannabis and give that oil into the patients, give the extract to the patients. Maybe we could actually send all of the cannabis seeds to one of the gamma radiators around Ireland. I believe is there one in Ireland? I don't know. It might be Germany. We might need to send it to. But we could send the cannabis there to be gamma radiated, which will kill off any pathogen in there that could pose a threat to a patient who might consume it. I don't agree with that, obviously, for like somebody who might need it for just chronic pain, who doesn't have a weakened immune system. It's a person who has a weakened immune system that needs that level of sterility. So, but anyhow, there's no effort being done. Patients like Kenny Tynan, he is to watch on as in one hand, he can't get access to cannabis medicines because of the bloody burdensome cost. But on the other hand, and he's watching our state, our Gardaí, destroying 31 kilos. Like, it would have been a couple of years worth of medicine, I'd imagine, for Kenny. A couple of years. Absolutely ridiculous. And we're just going to destroy this. We're going to send it to a lab for analysis before we destroy it. Absolutely ridiculous. No compassion at all from this government. It really annoys me when I kind of think about it, that all of this is just going to be destroyed. All of the cannabis that gets seized is destroyed, and all of the money that gets seized goes into the coffer of the revenue. Yeah. So the seizure was a part of an ongoing investigation targeting serious organised criminal activity, personnel attached to the Garda National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau, and support by Revenue Customs Service carried out the raids. So, it was found while intercepting a vehicle as well. Yeah, so there you go. So basically they knew who they were searching. They knew who they were going for. So this was an organised kind of effort. In other news then, guys, we go onwards. We go to County... Where is this next one? Apologies there. Yeah, there we go. Apologies. 24... So the last piece of news we have today, guys, is coming at you. It is basically from Longford, and the Gardaí in Longford have seized €24,000 worth of cannabis and cocaine. Well done, boys. Well done. You go have a well-deserved break for yourselves, lads. But just know when you come back, there's going to be so much more cannabis and cocaine out there, because this is a never-ending war. This is a never-ending war. This is why they want to fight it, because it's never ending, and it's so great for the Gardaí and not the Gardaí, and you know, is it good for the Gardaí? No, it's probably not actually. Like, I don't know why the Gardaí would support it. Like, we're always going to have crime in our society. You know, I don't think that we're going to reduce the number of Gardaí if they're no longer having to stop a drug user. I just don't believe that that would be a reason for the Gardaí to be against it. Now, in the US, that would be different, obviously, because they have the private prisons over there. So a bit of a different system to be looking at, but I don't know. But anyhow, so the Gardaí in Longford has seized 24,000 worth of suspected cannabis plants and cocaine in 2 separate drug seizures over the weekend. On Sunday, shortly before 7 p.m, Gardaí attached to the Roscommon Longford Divisional Drugs Unit carried out a search of a house in Granard. During the course of the search, Gardaí located a cannabis grow house in the attic of the property. A large quantity of cannabis plants pending analysis worth 20,000 were seized. Again, no attempt here to be sorting out the patients who could be benefiting off this. None whatsoever. Obviously, the stuff isn't really quality and all of that, but look, I'm sure there's many patients out there who'll be like, he'd snatch the hand off you for an opportunity to try out some of this stuff to see if it would help them. One woman in her early 30s was arrested at the scene and detained at the Granard Garda station. She has since been released without charge, and a file is being prepared for the Director of Public Prosecutions. In a separate detection at 7:30 on Saturday, November 21st, Gardaí attached to the Roscommon Drug Unit carried out a search of a van observed in the Connacht Road area of Longford and discovered a package containing what is believed to be cocaine worth €4,000. One man in his 20s was arrested and brought to the Longford Garda station. He's since been released without charge, and a file is being prepared for the Director of Public Prosecutions. So there you have it, guys. That is all of today's 420 news. Sadly, that final piece there, we're going to see another young person in his 20s having his future tarnished because he got caught with drugs. Not because he was using drugs, not because he was dealing drugs, but just simply because he got caught with the drugs. That's so silly. There should be regulations in place where people can just get these drugs, and then young men like this just wouldn't be out there doing this, getting themselves in this kind of trouble, having their entire future tarnished because of a criminal record. It's just stupid. It just makes no sense at all to me. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's 420 news. I didn't have anything positive at all I'm going to actively seek out some positive news for Wednesday, guys. So if you want some positive news, come back Wednesday and I will do my best to have at least 50% of the show be made up of some positive news. It's probably going to be scientific studies because that's the only place you can find some positive news. But I'll do my best. I might just have like a 5-minute show. That might be one way around having half the show being positive. Because sadly, like, it just kills me. There's so little positive news in regards to cannabis coming out of Ireland. So little. Yeah, so until Wednesday, guys, this has been fun. We'll pop on over here to the comments, guys, and we'll see what the crack is over here. And we have Mick Russell saying that I was on time. Nice one. Don't know if being sarcastic there or what, but I think I went live at 4:20 anyway. I was close enough. And video playing over me, bud. Oh no. Hopefully that didn't go bad. But we see. So hello Martin and everyone coming in from Francis. So David Shadlow, he says terrible that this is still going on with Vera years later, and hashtag talk to Vera. Yeah, it is terrible, man. Just reflective of politicians who just don't have any compassion. They don't care at all about these patients and the suffering they're causing. They don't care about money. They only care about lining the pockets of their buddies. So I just don't understand why cannabis hasn't been legalized. All of the evidence shows that the nonsense, the prohibitionist propaganda, it's all lies. They've lied to us over the years. And then they turn around and try to say that people who are talking about the medicinal benefits of cannabis, that we're liars. No, we were the people who put our heads out there, like, and you know, we wanted to get that message to the patients so people could benefit from cannabis for themselves, rather than being denied it because of the prohibitionists and their propaganda and their lies. So Andrea Cush, what's the story, Andrea? Hope you're doing well. Nice chatting with you the other day. David Chadlow he says, when I was in Oz, there was a town called Nimbin where everyone smoked and sold mushrooms and the police did nothing. Good times. Yeah, I've followed stories there from Nimbin quite a couple of times. They do definitely get hassled from time to time by the authorities, but it kind of is few and far between when that happens. So it's kind of bad when it goes down, really, because the place to be well packed. People, I got told by a buddy he stayed in a hotel there, and he went down to buy a bit of cannabis or something, and I know that he say he bought $50 worth of it, and your man like just handed him nearly a whole plant's worth of cannabis for $50 or something. It was really cheap. But I suppose Australia as well, it can dry it really quick as well with the climate down there. That's the crack, Greenbird. Nice one for tuning in, man. I hope you're well out there. And guys, check out the High and Homegrown podcast. Boys are legends. Really enjoy chatting with them. Just working on the interview there now. Actually, at the moment, I should have the interview with the High and Homegrown podcast released within the next day or two once I get done editing it. Robert Anthony says, good man, Martin. Keep up the good work. Nice one for that. Francis said that's exactly what this country should be doing. Put all the money they seized should be going on to the homeless and for future jobs. And Greenbeard there is agreeing with Francis on that yeah, it should be going to help all the homeless and the future jobs. Jolene McDonough says fair play, nice one. And then Robert is saying there as well that he agrees. Sorry, just trying to make my way through these comments. Some of them are replying to other people. So Andrew said, I've heard so much about this judge listening to you. He seems great. Yeah, that's Judge Sean O'Donovan, my buddy old pal. He put me off the road for a year. That's why I've just such a preference to the guy, how much I really like him. He was so kind, like, he done that for me. Oh, can't thank him enough. Like, you know, it changed my life, really. Like, he took me off the road for a year for my crime of smoking cannabis, or from just possessing cannabis, actually, is what it was. And I've really reflected on that now. And yeah, Judge Sean O'Donovan, he should know that he's the fuel that burns, that keeps the fire going, the fire, the passion, to see cannabis legalized in Ireland. So yeah, he's very much motivated me there. Down the TY is rampant with drugs. I bought Char myself when I was when I was 16 down there, and that was 15 years ago. And that was coming in from Percy, or from Greenbird. Stephen Garland saying, you're freaking out the entire Cork chemsex community with your thermal imaging. Yeah, I wonder, you know, you get some pervy guard and he's flying over your house and he's like, oh, quick, stop at this one there for a few secs. Pardon the pun, a few secs. Dave there says, Gardaí raid in families is disgraceful. Children being scared by Gardaí rushing in at 5 a.m. Yeah, man, and there's stories there from the US, like these no-knock raids, and they be throwing flashbangs in. There was one story there in the US where they threw a flashbang in the window, and the flashbang landed in the crib of of a young baby, a couple of months old, and it went off. And I can't recall, I'm going to hope that the baby survived it, but there's a small percentage saying that baby actually got killed by that. I can't recall, but it was horrific. A no-knock raid. They threw in the flashbang, and it was for a cannabis dealer, nonetheless, like a cannabis dealer, and they're using explosives, flashbangs, to raid the home, and a baby being present, and absolutely ridiculous. Horrible. Francis says here that has to cost a lot of money wasted on from taxpayers going after cannabis. I don't understand how you can't smoke a doob. But you can sit on the corner of the street with a needle hanging out of your arm and cops just walk past. But if you're caught with a spliff, you're criminalised. Yeah, I can't say whether or not cops walk past people with needles in their arms. I definitely heard people saying that before. But obviously, because it's just easier to deal with a cannabis consumer rather than a person who's injecting drugs. People who inject drugs sometimes are kind of associated with I wouldn't say disease, but like HIV and hepatitis and things like that. So there definitely is kind of a worry there that maybe the Gardaí just are hesitant to deal with these people, and also because maybe they believe that they're not as helpful as a cannabis consumer can be helped by catching them with their cannabis. I don't know really why they would walk past somebody like that. But anyway, like criminalising either drug user, it's not good in my books. Tina McLeod says she got a 2-year conditional discharge in the 1980s for supplying a joint to her boyfriend, and it was a first offence. A 2-year conditional discharge. Horrible. And giving it to your boyfriend too. Like, what was it? You got caught passing a joint? Like, horrible. And then Connor is saying here that I think we have been fighting this all wrong. Why not try push to grow your own like Spain? That way more people can actually learn about it and feel proud of it. Connor, man, you're singing from my hymn sheet anyway, but I think we should be allowed to grow it at home. It is the kind of legalisation I want to fight for. I talk about it plenty. I think we should be able to grow as many cannabis plants as we want, but maybe if we are to put a control on the numbers, that we limit the number of plants we have in flower, and maybe the amount of floor space that can be dedicated to flowering. That's one way in which we could maybe limit it, but at the same time, I think we should all be allowed to grow cannabis at home for our own use. I think the government are overstepping their boundaries there, and interfering with our lives and creating problems then as a result of it. Francis says there then as well that there should be cautions in this country. What waste bringing you to court for just €10? There is cautions. I've gotten cautions before. They have like the adult caution program, but it's kind of a headache to actually go through. And yeah, so there is cautions basically. And it's at the discretion of the Garda as to whether they want to use it for you or not as well, I believe. But I could be wrong. And Francis says here as well that 620,000 that could have been used for other things if it was legalised. Of course, man. If that was taxed, even a 10%, 20% tax on that there, like that's €124,000 that could have been generated in taxes is if that was sold and taxed. But no, they don't do that at all. We just waste money fighting it instead. Stephen then says, or Sandra says, "Jobless," and jobless you too, Sandra. Nice one for commenting, and thanks for the support, girl. It's a pleasure having you all along. Stephen says, "Great job as ever, and don't forget people will be talking with Kenny this Wednesday at 7:30. So Wednesday, guys, 7:30, the DCU SSDP, and Stephen Garland at Stop My PPMS. Sorry if I got that one wrong. But at Stop My PPMS .com. He's organising a series of talks there, one in which I'll be featuring in 2 weeks' time. But this Wednesday is going to be Kenny Tynan, the host of the Cannabis Patient podcast, and also the patient who I talked about earlier, who won't be renewing his license at all this year, because of the costs associated with it. Other comments there as well, guys. Free our meds, hashtag free our meds there from Sandra. Mick Russell said, I meant I was on time. Oh, you were on time. Oh, I thought you were saying I was on time. Good. Oisin Bradley Moore, he said, I'd rather it be legalised for possession first, because the guards will find a way to confiscate it if grown. Yeah, that's true too. Like decriminalisation and legalisation, they should come hand in hand. But sadly, I believe decriminalisation will come first, and some form of legalisation regulations will come afterwards. And then last few comments there, guys. Get them in if you're still watching, and if you want to get your shout out. Ken says here, good show as always, and good luck tomorrow. Thanks very much, Ken, and thanks for tuning in. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. And Andrew then says, thanks, Martin. Best of luck with the court. Keep us posted with the outcome. Guys, I will indeed. Don't forget tomorrow when I do go to court, I will go live. I'll try to go live on Facebook, and I will also go live over on Instagram. So keep an eye out for that. Follow me over on Instagram if you actually have an Instagram account, because I could end up using that to go live from. It's just easier to use my phone going live from that one. But I'll try to use both anyway, and I will do an update afterwards. Hopefully I will have an outcome. I don't want to be going back to court again waiting another couple of weeks or months or whatever for the outcome of this bloody crime of €10 worth of cannabis. It's such a joke. Like, I would nearly bring in €10 worth of cannabis with me, like, because of how flimsy a crime it is. It's nothing. Like, it's a joint. That's what they caught me with. One joint. Ah, absolutely ridiculous. But guys, that's it. 55 minutes in today, and we're done. That's all the comments. That's all the news. And until Wednesday, guys, keep it country, keep her blazed, and no, keep her lit. Stay blazed. That's the one. Jeez, I had too good a 420 before 420 today. You can probably tell. I had serious sciatica kicking off there, and I was getting the hash into me like it was going out of fashion. I honestly just couldn't treat that pain with any more than I could have today. It's sciatica. It's real, guys. It's not pleasant at all. So sorry if I actually am extra high today, but it's medicinal. Last two comments there, just seen them coming in. Go live in the courtroom. I will try to. I might accidentally leave my phone in live in my bag, but we'll see. So guys, until then, guys, stay blazed, keep her lit, and use the hashtag talk to Vera if you're tweeting and posting on Facebook and stuff, you know. Stephen Donnelly, if you happen to be watching this, pick up the phone, do what's right, man. Legalize cannabis. Right, guys, catch you later. Third time saying goodbye.